Welcome, my darlings, to my humble chateau. Please make yourself very comfortable. Relax your mind and release your imagination to me. I will bring you a story to entrance and entertain. Perhaps a frightening one. Perhaps a steampunk. Perhaps a bit of mythology. Anyway, sit back, enjoy, and subscribe to me.
What the hell was that? I demanded. A loud, piercing shriek cut through the autumn air and sent a chill down my spine. Amazingly, no one else present at the late-night bonfire even reacted to it. I surveyed the other campers in total disbelief. It was as if a nearby freight train had just blew its whistle unexpectedly.
What the hell was what?
April responded. I couldn't understand why she needed me to clarify. It damn near scared me out of my skin. It was as if a prehistoric pterodactyl let out a rallying cry while sailing just above us in the darkness. At least, what I imagined one would have sounded like. My fellow bonfire participants were unaffected by this jarring shriek, but visibly troubled by my question. Come on, people. I know you heard that. Whatever it was. Is there some sort of large bird of prey indigenous to this area? That call must have carried for miles in the stillness of the night air. Several people at the gathering reacted with concern to my query. They were locals. I was not. Seeing them so shaken by my question was contagious. They knew what it was, but clearly didn't want to talk about it. Anna pulled me aside and asked me to describe in greater detail what I'd heard. The mere fact that no one else noticed a sustained 100 decimal shriek really freaked me out. I thought they were screwing with me since I'm not from the area, but Anna wasn't the sort of person to pretend or pull someone's leg. She was gravely disturbed by what I told her, so much so that I demanded answers. Immediately.
There's a local legend, it's really a silly superstition, about a harvester of the dead that poses as a massive screech owl. No one really believes in things like that anymore, but there have been a number of people who told others about hearing it cry out for them shortly before they passed away. After a handful of coincidences like that, people started talking. And the next thing you know, a superstition is born. Honestly, it's nothing to worry about. Try not to freak out over a made-up thing.
Just how many is a handful? I asked nervously. I could tell she didn't want to say, but I insisted.
Maybe a dozen or so?
Her efforts to minimize my concern immediately fell apart. Even though I could tell she was underreporting the real number, in no way am I a superstitious person, but when you have 15 individuals who collectively swallow when you bring up hearing an unseen screech owl, it does tend to add weight to your worry. Our camping retreat was organized by a professional group and was meant to be remote, rugged, and fun. No one was allowed to bring modern conveniences to soften the experience or offer a safety net. All we had were our tents, sleeping bags, food, and a couple of firearms, in case of bears or other wild animals. The organizers weren't scheduled to pick us up for 2 more days. We were on our own, and I had just become a pariah, with a local curse clinging to me. As if to further torment me, the same shrill shriek ripped through the air again. Its long, sustained screech turned my blood to ice. A quick survey of the others confirmed my deepening fears. No one else batted an eye. But Anna noticed my reaction. She opened her mouth to ask me if I heard Death's call again, but stopped. There was no need for confirmation. She knew I heard it again. While everyone else in the camp avoided me like the plague and set up their tents as far away from me as possible, Anna stayed by my side. I had been fixated on connecting with April all weekend, but any positive vibes between us eroded the moment a looming threat of Harvester of Death came up. Who knew, right? I was apparently a doomed soul in her pragmatic eyes. I'd never really considered Anna for anything beyond platonic friendship, but seeing how she reacted to the situation made her infinitely more appealing. I'm not sure anyone present really believed in the legend, but unlike everyone else, Anna was genuine and comforting. With her tent only a few feet from mine, I went to bed, hoping I didn't hear that unholy shriek or, worse yet, the prophesized wings of death coming to collect my soul for the underworld. As I laid there, waiting for my doom to unfold, Anna spoke to me from her tent.
Are you still awake?
I admit I was. It was comforting to hear her voice. With some degree of subtlety, she asked if I was afraid. Of course, I didn't want to admit that ridiculous owl superstition had gotten to me, but I felt compelled to open up and be honest with her. I didn't mind her knowing the truth. At least some degree of it. I suppose I was hoping for some sympathy.
Would you like some company? I could come over there if you like.
I smiled. Her offer was welcome and deeply reassuring. I suddenly felt silly about getting so swept up in this whole ridiculous Harvester of Death legend. I was about to unzip my tent and let Anna inside when I saw a deeply frightening thing. Light from the fading bonfire cast a distinctive silhouette through the thin material. Instead of seeing her familiar form, a massive winged creature was just outside my tent.
Are you going to let me in or not? I'm not going to come in if I'm not welcome.
I heard her whisper through the thin screen. I think I'll be all right now, I stammered hoarsely. Thank you for your concern. Good night, Anna. The winged harvester remained outside my tent for a long period. I scarcely breathed the entire time. It flew off in frustration and bellowed out one final screech. I didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, Anna acted as if none of that had even transpired. The screech owl can obviously take many forms. Just beware if you ever hear it cry out to you in the night. And never invite an unexpected friend or an acquaintance into your home. That's how she gets you.
I lost contact with the Earth 18 hours ago. By Bo Bandy. This is Commander Ryan Abbott of the International Space Station. I've been the sole crew member aboard the past 7 months as it orbited 286 miles above the planet's surface. This will probably be my last log entry. I suspect no one will ever see it, since I believe every single human on Earth is dead. Still, I'm compelled to record this journal entry as the final formality of my record-keeping duties here. Hopefully I'm wrong about everything. About 18 hours ago, I was awakened by the vessel's artificial intelligence computer system. Max warned me that something wasn't right. When I prodded for details, he explained that all transmissions on Earth had ceased. All civilian and military radio signals were silent. Not a soul was broadcasting audio or video. For the next couple of hours, I tried to reach NASA and the other international partners of the ISS. Nothing. Like Dickens' Christmas Carol, no one was stirring, not even a mouse. I went from slightly concerned at the beginning to highly disturbed, and finally in full-blown panic as time wore on. Even syrupy crooning and flamenco guitar music from Latin America would have been a relief to hear. Instead, there was nothing but dead air on all terrestrial bandwidth frequencies. I considered that it could be due to internal equipment malfunction, but the station had dual independent receivers to prevent that possibility. Neither digital system detected or any commercial or private broadcasts. A third, much older manual system I pulled out of storage confirmed Max's chilling report. Air flights and control towers across the globe were off the air. The entire Earth was silent. The monotone hiss from the speaker was deafening. Since ISS has multiple cameras to record the atmospheric weather patterns at all times, I decided to back up the recording. I wanted to see when everything changed. Max didn't want to stop the live recording at first. His duty is to maintain a continuous feed at all costs. But if there was ever a time to subvert the system, it was then. After explaining the importance of understanding why the Earth went silent, he agreed. I'm in charge, after all. He's nothing like Hal from 2001, A Space Odyssey. In the past, the two of us even made jokes about the legendary film reference. I think he gets it. I'd grown reasonably used to being alone since he was there to keep me company. In his own way, I'd grown reasonably used to being alone since he was only there to keep me company in his own way. Every person I knew was only 286 miles away, give or take a few thousand. Now I only have Max, and the possibility terrifies me. I started reviewing the archive footage around the time I originally retired to my bunk for sleep. As far as I knew, everything was perfectly fine on Earth until that point. About 2 hours into my sleep, a piercing beam of light enveloped one whole side of the planet, like an artificial sun. Actually, it completely eclipsed our natural sunlight. It paled in comparison. As the Earth rotated, this light seemed to cook the surface like a hydrogen-infused laser. From that point on, there was no more transmissions recorded from our shiny blue home. Cameras on the orbiting International Space Station had surreptitiously captured the extinction of mankind, save one. It was as if the whole planet had been sterilized by the mysterious flash of light from outer space. This sanitation of... Oh boy, see, that's too close. There we go. This sanitation of humanity took less than 6 hours from what I could tell. I asked Max why he didn't wake me while the unexplained phenomenon was going on. Perhaps proving that artificial intelligence still has a long way to go. He expressed genuine concern that I needed the sleep. It's not like I could have physically blocked the devastating light wave from my little tin can in the sky, but perhaps I could have warned those not already under its mysterious influence. Max seemed proud that he had the presence of mind to alert me when he noticed the absence of radio transmissions. In his cyber-based cognizance, his decision was thinking outside the box, despite my biological need for sleep. He didn't immediately grasp the reason for my considerable agitation. As if speaking to a small child, I tried to explain that the lack of radio wave broadcasts now and the extreme light phenomena then were almost certainly related. Here I am facing the potential extinction of mankind and possibly all other life on Earth, and yet I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Go figure. Max seemed to finally come around. He was concerned that our mission on the ISS would be compromised if there was no other people left on Earth to share the data results with. That helped to bring the concept of unknown and fear to him. In his defense, there's only one of him, so losing humanity doesn't have quite the same punch as it does for me. I kept hoping for a return of regular radio transmissions and electronic signatures. I listened to that unwavering, gut-wrenching static for hours, just as I had decided that hearing nothing over the airwaves was undeniable proof of the end of everything. Things grew infinitely worse. My repeated calls to our space station partners across the globe had went unanswered for hours. Then, out of the blue, a single, cryptic response came. I should have been relieved beyond words. The problem was, the response wasn't words at all. Not from any human tongue. If I had to describe the language of what I heard over the speakers, it would be that of a sinister insect-like screech. The response kept repeating. It was absolutely directed at me. As if on cue, Max began receiving tens of thousands of radio transmissions from all over the globe. They were similar in nature to the insectoid screeching message I'd received from the space station command center. There were no humans manning the microphones down on Earth. Max expressed confusion and concern. He even realized the transmissions were not normal. Not by any stretch. He has the learning capacity to analyze unique vocal patterns and unknown dialects. He was already deep into transcribing the broadcasts he was recording. What he told me about them made the thought of being the last human being even worse. As if that was even possible. A giant interstellar species of flying creatures had transported to Earth in their quest for a new home. Like a swarm of traveling locusts, they drifted from planet to planet, taking control of each new world and decimating its natural resources. Earth is their new target. Perhaps in their zeal to take over the planet, I'd escaped their attention. Now I had inadvertently announced my presence, in a misunderstanding that would have been hilarious if it were not the most tragic thing in the world. Max mimicked the best imitation of excitement. "They said they are coming for you," he exclaimed. With the world of humanity over, he was genuinely worried I would be stranded on the space station by the new insect overlords. I didn't have the strength to explain what their message meant. In his level of understanding, the extinction of humanity wasn't the big deal as long as there were other biological creatures to coexist with. I'd never be able to explain that I had no intention of living among these locust-like conquerors, nor do they have any intention of letting me live. Max needed many more years to achieve that sophisticated level of comprehension. I regret that he'll never get the chance. I've grown very fond of him. I'm hoping there's still some underground resistance left among our own species to take Earth back. Unfortunately, I have no way of knowing about that, but I plan on blowing up the station when they arrive, even if I only take out a few of them in the explosion. It will be my independent effort to help. At the end of this entry, I'll sign off for the last time and transmit my log files to ISS headquarters. I can only hope there are other survivors left to view this record and benefit from my plan. Commander Ryan Abbott, International Space Station, August 18th, 2023. So quoth this raven. My, oh my darlings, Bo has done it again. What a wonderful story. Could you imagine? Go visit his page, Mindfudge, and read his wonderful stories for yourself. And give me a like, and if you haven't done so, subscribe and ring the little bell so you know when to come up and see me. And if you leave a comment, I'll do my best to comment back. Bye-bye, my darlings.